It's getting a lot of love this award season so far from the Golden Globes. The American Film Institute put it in their top 10 movies of the year. Certainly, the Oscars will be calling soon. Let's talk about the Bradley Cooper passion project, Maestro. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for the new film Maestro. This is streaming right now on Netflix. It is still in select theaters as well if you feel like catching it there. And honestly, I kind of wish I did. I thought about it. It's playing at the local art house here. Last week I thought about it. I was like, it's going to be for free on Netflix next week. And I sort of regret not seeing this on the big screen. But, such is life, maybe one day. But this is a film about Leonard Bernstein, the famous composer. And we're going to talk all about this here in just a second. But first, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here. And just about every day I post something new. So always a lot to check out. There's playlists on the homepage so you can look for exactly what you're interested in. And please consider subscribing, like this video, share it, and comment down below. What did you think of this movie? And what do you think of its Oscar chances? We're going to talk about the different Oscar categories that I think it is most suited for, and what I think maybe it has a decent chance at even winning, perhaps. So we will talk about all this here with this movie. So this was directed by Bradley Cooper, co-written by Bradley Cooper, and he stars as Leonard Bernstein in this movie. So this is a real passion project for him. He's been working on it for many years, and I realized around the time of A Star is Born that I think Bradley Cooper is my favorite actor working today. A Star is Born really solidified that for me, but I just started thinking about, his different films, and he could do everything from comedy to, the really serious drama. He's done some action stuff, and even, voice work. He's great, obviously, in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. So I love this guy. So, is this going to be a biased review? I mean, I don't think so. And I will say up front, I don't think this movie is as good as A Star is Born. But this really this blew me away, to be honest. And to be clear, Bradley Cooper, in terms of on screen, isn't even the most compelling one. So Carey Mulligan plays Bernstein's wife, and this really is even more her movie than it is his, which I think is such an interesting way to go for a biopic. We focus more on her story and how she feels about his fame and how she feels about his sexuality. That is more than just touched on here in this movie. It's a big part of this film. And she gets top billing on the poster. So I would say that this is even more her movie than his, which was such an interesting way to go. So, when we think of the biopic, and especially music biopics, because we've had so many recently, between Queen and Elton John and Whitney Houston, and obviously those are more, contemporary musicians than Bernstein, obviously. But we have that whole sort of route of, okay, this happens, then they wrote this, and then, and it goes sort of in that line. And, this movie really focuses very minimally on the music, not completely though, because there is an epic orchestration scene towards the end that apparently Cooper worked 6 years on getting the movements just right and all of that. And it took me back to the best part of Bohemian Rhapsody, which was the Live Aid concert performance at the end of that movie. This one doesn't happen quite at the end, but it's in like the last half hour or so of this. And look, I'm not a classical music guy. I like it, but it's not something I know much about. So I couldn't tell you how well done this scene is, but the fact that he worked on it for 6 years, I'm sure it's pretty pitch perfect. And I imagine that for a classical lover, for somebody who goes to the symphony, it will be like when I watched the Queen Live Aid thing. Like, oh my God, they're doing this thing and whatever. I have to imagine that that's what this is like for a person who is that into classical music. But this movie is so interesting because, like I said, it does not focus solely or even mainly on the music. And in fact, we have a big chunk of his professional life is missing. We don't see about him working on West Side Story and some of his most famous works. We don't really see. We kind of move time along. So this movie goes in a few different time periods. We start out in this glorious black and white. I mean, it's just it looks so good in his starting days, in his 20s, what have you, just trying to get his foot in the door. He lands on this opportunity out of happenstance, really, and then we kind of go from there a little bit with the music, and then he meets his future wife, and then we sort of go into the 70s, 60s. Well, I guess 70s really at the end of the movie, but we go into the 60s where we are in glorious living color, and it is. And I'm not as much of a movie technically specific person, so I don't know what the term really is even. I don't know if it's like the color palette or whatever, but it has the look of a 1960s movie, or maybe one of the higher quality TV shows of the day. It's a little bit muted, maybe. I don't know, but it's again glorious, and you can tell from looking at it that these were such specific choices that Cooper made, and I think they worked amazingly. And then so we finish the movie in the early 70s. Actually, we really finish in the late 80s. Which for spoilers' sake, I won't really talk about what's going on in these different eras. But so really, this movie does go through almost the entire life of Leonard Bernstein. And so, look, a lot has been said already about this movie. There was some controversy about the prosthetic nose that he wears and everything. But look, the Anti-Defamation League, said that it's not derogatory. And Bernstein's family, his children, who were producers, well, I don't know if they were producers, but they certainly had their hand in the mix with this movie, said, look, this is fine. Our dad did have a big, beautiful nose. And so I'm not even going to talk about that because Bradley Cooper, this is maybe his best performance. Like I said, I don't think the movie on the whole is quite as good as A Star is Born, but this could be his best performance. We love that. And I think he really loses himself in the role. And to be honest, the prosthetic nose does make him look a little less like Bradley Cooper. And in certain angles and certain ways, he really loses himself in this role, and he changes his voice so much too that a passerby maybe wouldn't know that is Bradley Cooper. And he's I think got a very famous face. But let's talk about Carey Mulligan. She is outstanding in this movie. I've been a Mulligan fan for many years. She was first Oscar nominated in 08 or 09, I think, for this movie. What was that called? I forget. An Education, that's what it was. And so I kind of watched her career after that, and then she was one of the best parts of The Great Gatsby. She did this NC-17 movie called Shame with Michael Fassbender that she was really great in. And she just keeps going and going with these great roles. She was just in a movie earlier this year, actually. I still have to review it. I saw it at this point probably 3 weeks ago, called Saltburn. And she has a minor role in that, but it's such a weird movie. I had to think a lot about it before I reviewed it. So I'll get that one up soon too. But she has a minor role in that, and even in just a couple of scenes, she steals them. So this, I don't know if it's her best performance, but she is a force in this movie for sure. It probably is her best performance when I come to think of it. But let's talk about the Oscar chances for this movie for a moment. So I think this is a clear nominee for Best Picture. And in fact, I one of the minor faults I have in the movie is it may be a little bit Oscar baity. It may be Bradley Cooper thinking, I didn't get my Oscar for Star is Born. What can I do to get my Oscar? There may be a little bit of that in this movie. But it's I think a clear entry for Best Picture. I don't think it's going to win. I think that's probably Oppenheimer's to lose, but I think Cooper and Mulligan are both going to be nominated for their respective roles. I think Mulligan has a decent shot at a potential win here. I haven't seen The Color Purple yet. I know, I believe her name is Danielle Brooks. I think she is definitely one of the front runners as well, from what I understand. And Emma Stone in Poor Things. I haven't seen that yet. That just kind of got released. So I don't know, but I think from what I've seen so far this year, her only real competition in the movies I've seen is Margot Robbie. Bradley Cooper, again, I think it's probably Cillian Murphy's to lose for Oppenheimer, but I think Cooper does a great job here. I think where this movie will shine, though, I think makeup and hairstyling is a lock. And it goes so much further than the prosthetic nose. Let me just say that. But I think that probably is one of their strongest categories. But I think this probably will also get a potential screenplay nomination. I don't know about directing. I think it's directed wonderfully, and I haven't seen a lot of the ones yet that are currently top choices. I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet with Scorsese. Although Scorsese did produce this movie. At one point, he was set to direct, and then Spielberg was set to direct, and then through time, it sort of changed hands or whatever. And I guess I think what I read after Spielberg saw A Star Is Born, he told Bradley Cooper, "No, dude, you should direct this." Okay, high praise from the man, but I think he stayed on as producer, as did Scorsese. But so yeah, I mean, this movie has a ton of things going for it. Now, it won't be able to be in the original score category. The score is breathtaking, but it's all old material. It is all Bernstein stuff, so we can't really say that. But I think this has a lot of potential. This could be. Every year, it seems like there's one movie that gets like 9 Oscar nominations and walks away empty-handed. Could potentially be this movie, because I think with Oppenheimer in the mix, that's going to steal a lot of the thunder from a lot of these other potentially very deserving movies. But I think it could certainly win in the hair and makeup category, perhaps something like editing, or sound. I think maybe sound is a good one as well. Oppenheimer will probably win there too. But anyway, this is easily one of my favorite movies of the year. It's something that I will probably go back to and potentially watch again before the Oscars if I can catch it on a big screen. I leave Maestro with an A. And you can stream this now on Netflix, believe it or not. I think it's one of the only major award contenders that is going pretty much straight to a streamer. It was in theaters briefly for like a week or two for that Oscar contention, but yeah, you can check it out now on Netflix. So and I encourage you to do so. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. We'll see you next time. Bye.